We have breaking news. An FDA independent advisory panel is recommending Moderna booster shots for those who are 65 and older and for those 18 and older who have medical conditions that put them at higher risk, which is the same recommendation made earlier for Pfizer booster shots. CBS News reporter Max Bayer has been following the hearing, and he joins us now for more on this. Hi, Max. So how did the panel come to its recommendation here, and when will it decide on Johnson & Johnson's booster shots?
The panel basically came to its decision looking at, an equation of the benefits of providing additional protection to at-risk Americans versus the available data to make that conclusion. I think there were some on the panel who were looking for more data, both from the company and on waning effectiveness, particularly among some of the populations that they eventually recommended that for. But they decided on, again, that the risk of breakthrough infections, especially for older Americans, it was better to allow a booster now. As it pertains to Johnson & Johnson, the same committee will be meeting tomorrow to discuss that company's data and their booster shot.
Now, for a lot of these people who now find themselves eligible for either a Pfizer or Moderna booster shot, some of these people have had breakthrough infections. Not many, but a few. If you are one of those people, is the FDA recommending you still get a booster shot if you're in that category of 65 and older or 18 and older that have health conditions that warrant it?
That's a very good question. And actually, some of the Israeli data that was presented today made mention of the benefits to your immune system. I say in case you had a mild case, that it seemed equal to receiving a booster shot. With that said, it still looks like the FDA, the panel is recommending a booster shot irrespective of a breakthrough case. Their recommendation, what they voted on today, did not decipher between individuals who have had a breakthrough infection and those who did not. It was simply purely based on age and whether or not you're at risk based off of pre-existing conditions or where you work.
So did the panel address any concerns about Moderna's booster shot? In other words, if you are someone who maybe doesn't fall in those categories, but you just feel like, hey, it's been 8 months since my last shot, I just want to get a booster shot. Did they address reasons why perhaps you should not do that?
Well, the committee would say, so to your point, getting, a quote unquote off-label booster, if you don't fall within the authorization or the recommendations, is just that there's no data to support that. If you're somebody who's 16 and you just want to get an additional Pfizer shot, the committee would say there's no available data to support that. And of course, you may run the risk of myocarditis or a potential side effect. In regards to other concerns that they addressed, there were kind of two concerns that came up. The first was the demographic makeup of the clinical trial. For Moderna's booster was predominantly white. There was not a lot of diversity in that trial. And then also the issue is Moderna's booster is half the dose of the size of the dose for the primary series. So I think there were some concerns, especially given some gaps in the data, of whether or not that recommending that size dosage could in the future mean that the speed at which the immune response declines is pretty quick. In terms, said in other words, is this size dosage creating a robust enough immune response for everyone so that you don't, 6 months from now, talk about another 50 microgram booster or something similar?
So, Max, when are we all getting boosters? At which point are they going to say, we now have enough data or enough time has passed that everyone is eligible for a booster? Isn't that likely to happen at some point in the future?
That's a great question, and it certainly seems like that's likely to happen. But again, I think what the committee would be looking for is some evidence, of waning immunity for some of the general population, especially younger individuals. And when they were talking about the Pfizer booster a couple of weeks ago, the top mention was that it seemed like at the time the most significant population seeing waning immunity were people who were older. So I think what the committee members, both for the CDC, which is happening in the next couple of weeks, meeting about boosters, is going to see whether or not that waning immunity, especially from the mRNA vaccines, is waning significantly against severe illness, and if the Delta variant is hindering that significantly. I think what we're seeing now is some waning immunity, especially in the face of Delta, but folks are just wary to recommend a ubiquitous booster shot, given a lack of data maybe of adverse effects, and just no significant indication that your risk to severe illness increases significantly after a portion of time. So seeing how that changes, how that maneuvers over the next couple of months will determine whether or not boosters are rolled out for the entire population.
Sure, and the data is still rolling in, still getting examined, a lot to learn still. All right, well, Max Baer, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.